Hello, welcome back to Foos Entertainment. For our next review, we should wrapping up our John Carpenter double feature thing. And this one is actually this one is a film I always thought was a very cool movie. Probably one of the most underrated Stephen King adaptations. And this one also very interesting. Has a you have to think about it again in your own head and fill it up with your own theories about what actually transpired within the movie, much like it had to do with The Shining. Was Jack Nicholson's character reincarnation? Was he really at the Stanley Motel over almost 100 years prior to the events of that movie? Or did the hotel consume him? You got to think. And that's certainly the same thing with this particular movie, which would be 1983's Christine by John Carpenter. You have to interpret this movie in your own way and really ask yourself interesting questions as to was Arnie possessed by the car? Was it actually Arnie? Did Arnie cease to exist at some point in the story? Was Arnie possessed by the car? No one really knows, okay? It's all left up to your imagination. No one really can come to an explanation as to what really happened to our nerd in this movie. But that's what makes this film so fascinating. I'll be honest with you. I think that he got possessed by the car early in the movie, which brings us, of course, onto the plot of the film. So I was trying to make this a little different about how I talk about things on camera. All right. Christine is centered around two friends. Our main character's name is Arnie, but see what his friend's name is. Doesn't say. It's been a while since I watched this. I'm a little behind on these reviews, which is why I lowered it down to freaking 6 reviews rather than doing like 10. Or 13. Alright. Well, Arnie and his friend are high school students. And his friend always defends him when, jocks and stuff like that pick on him in their high school. Well, Arnie comes across this beat down Plymouth Fury. Vintage Plymouth Fury car. And pleased to buy this piece of junk car that's all beat down. It looks like it could never fix it. Well, his friend cannot talk him out of it. He buys the car without knowing the promises history of the car. And supposedly this car has a history of causing very bad things to happen to his owners. Like the previous owner, the car took the life of his wife and his child, and then he killed himself in the car. It's almost like a love story with this car and the owners that it has, and that's kind of what it is. And Arnie gets the car, he fixes it up, and we very slowly see Arnie change in every way. He gets rid of his glasses. He gets a new hairstyle. He wears different clothes. He acts tougher. He's less of a nerd, more and more of a bad boy rebel. From one scene to the next throughout the movie. Well, our bad guys, our bullies, our people that pick on Arnie all the time, destroy and total his car. And then we start to see what's really going on when the car repairs itself, supernaturally puts itself back together and repairs itself and goes back to vintage beauty and beautiful what it looked like when it was restored. And then, one by one, the people that picked on Arnie get killed in mysterious ways. And the only thing that leaks it is the Plymouth Fury. So, basically, by the end of the film, Arnie's best friend and girlfriend are trying to get him to get the car up, and just, they're concerned about him. And which brings us to the showdown at the junkyard in which Arnie was keeping the car and restoring it all the time. And then we get a revelation that Arnie's always been driving this car when our, bad guys were getting killed. But he looks very different. Like, for example, there's black stuff underneath his eyes. He's looking into oblivion, like. And it kind of makes you wonder. It kind of really makes you wonder, is that Arnie? Again, this film makes you think. And of course, Arnie meets his demise when he crushes the Plymouth Fury, with a shard of glass being poked into his midsection of his body, kills him. Then the car actually comes to life itself and tries to of course, kill Arnie's best friend and girlfriend. So, and of course, they totaled the car by smashing it down to size. The car tries to repair itself as they're doing that, which is very freaky to see, I might add. This movie has some freak fest stuff on it. Running over the car puts itself back together again, you're running over the car, and while you're running over the car trying to put itself back together again, it's like the car won't die. It finally does meet its demise, though. But even when it's like a big square all crushed down, you can hear the car radio. Now, my theory is, and I'll kind of go with my theory about it, I think that Arnie got possessed and taken over by the car. Literally, where it's not Arnie anymore. Roughly around the time that basically the car is totaled and he says, "Show me." And the car restores itself. But some people might speculate that Arnie was no longer Arnie before that. But maybe when he was restoring the car, Arnie ceased to exist. It's really left up to your interpretation. And like I say is, this movie was definitely a hidden gem. I definitely was very, very impressed with this movie. I was impressed with it the first time I saw it. I've always been impressed with this movie. It was a pleasure watching this theatrically. Now, I don't recommend this as much as I do The Thing. That's like monumental. But this right here is a good movie. So if you haven't seen this one, definitely check it out. But I would definitely say that this is a hidden gem. Now, quality. I used to have a Dolby Atmos system before I got the current one. And I can certainly say that this always made perfect use of that type of sound system when it comes to the audio. Whenever the Plymouth Fury makes roaring noises and stuff like that and drives around, you can always hear it overhead, as if you're inside the car. Something that me and somebody that's very special to me noticed when we watched the movie last year. All I can say is definitely really cool how the audio was used in this movie. And again, this is just a 5.1 DTS HD Master audio track, but it plays out so much as if it was something more. And something I really like about this movie. The video quality. Video quality for this one is very, very good. It's has a lot of neutral ground. It's cool when it needs to be, it's warm when it needs to be, but it doesn't feel like it strays to the warm. Red tones are too much over to the blue, cool tones. It kind of feels like it has more of a balance to it, unlike, say, The Thing, which goes more towards cool temperatures than it does warms, without really having much neutralness, but yet being crystal clear and sharp looking. So this one does have more of an nostalgic feel. I can definitely say it was definitely a pleasure watching these two John Carpenter classics. I always enjoy John Carpenter's movies. He's a very gifted director that makes really, really good movies, and I always find it very much of a pleasure watching his films. As far as Stephen King adaptations go, this is probably one of my favorite ones, if not one of my top 3 favorite Stephen King movies is this movie. There's so many Stephen King films, and I did watch a lot of them this time around, but we are running low on time, and I only have till tomorrow to get everything done. But I think I found a pretty ingenious way to do it. Now I will mention this, obviously, for It, because people are probably wanting me to review that. I did a review for It Chapter 2, but, interesting enough, and this actually comes around and is actually interesting. Next month we have plans to do other things, but I am going to be taking at least 3 nights off from that to do something very special. And what that's going to be is me doing a return to The Shining in preparation for Dr. Sleep. And because of those, we will be watching It Chapter 2 on Blu-ray theatrically right here at home in my cinema I have. So expect to have that. That will be obviously an actual movie review for It Chapter 2 in the first time for It Chapter 1. And a return to The Shining in my theatrical going to the movie theaters non-spoiler opinion and what I thought of review for Dr. Sleep. But that's next month. We're not done with this month yet. We still have 2 more movies after this. And we'll be doing, obviously, Tim Burton. And the 2 films I want to review from Tim Burton are as it stands. I want to review Beetlejuice and Sleepy Hollow. So those are to be the last 2 movies we watch. Now, why not Nightmare Before Christmas? Because Nightmare Before Christmas is the essential Halloween movie, yes, but it's not dark and doesn't have as many shades of gray as Sleepy Hollow or Beetlejuice. So it makes a lot of sense that you would review those. So those will be the last 2 reviews for Horror Fest 2019. There will be back again to do a big event like this in, obviously, September and October of 2020, and then there'll be a lot more then. But like I say, this has been definitely a pleasure, and I will see you guys next time for the last 2 reviews of this wonderful event. I hope you have enjoyed. Until then.